Hello. Hey, hi. So I think that I'm live right now. I am coming live on three platforms right now. LinkedIn, YouTube, on the TYMP page, and also Facebook, my personal Facebook profile. So super duper excited. I think people already started to join in. I can see the count. This is the first time that I'm coming live on LinkedIn. It's a totally different experience. So uh, देखते हैं how things go. Let me wait for some time. I think notifications would have started going in. So anyway, I think meanwhile, people who are here, let's do some quick chit chat. Let me see where exactly you guys are from. And since I'm very new to this, let me see if I can see what you guys are commenting. Okay. Okay, so I think comments have already started to come in, but due to some technical issue, I don't think I'm able to see the comments. Got it. I think there is some issue with some technical issue. I've already started to join in with their comments. I can see Rakesh. Hello, Rakesh. What is the live about? The live, a special guest today. Invited Rohan Jain, who's a consultant with BCG, and will be joining us. And we're going to do a standard, typical TYMP talk with him. So, to people who are probably hearing or watching TYMP talk for the first time, the Younger Me project is something that we started. Me and a couple of my friends started uh, sometime in this year, and the idea is to get people with different backgrounds, people from different parts of life to come and talk about things that they would talk to their younger version with. So, Sayam, hello, I can see. Hello, Rohan sir, fan from Quora. So, yes, Rohan Jain is going to join us very soon. I am just waiting for another minute for more people to join in, and then we'll start with the conversation. Sonia Prathyani has commented Mumbai, so she's joining in from Mumbai. Vatsal is joining in from Lakhimpur Kheri. Great, Vatsal. I think that's a place in Uttar Pradesh. It's also my home state. Then we have Kushagra from Lucknow. Deepti Ranchi, not visible. Hi, hello. I hope that I've been able to fix this technical glitch. One second. Okay. So I think it's time for me to now let me very quickly drop a brief introduction about Rohan. And I think most of you already know about him. Rohan is a consultant at Boston Consulting Group for the last 3.5 years. He is a bachelor's in computer science from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, and an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, IMA. He also holds a master's in management degrees from EBS Business School, Germany. So, I mean, of course, apart from his academic accolades, Rohan, and some of you have already commented, is known for his writings on Quora. And now I think recently I've also started following him on Instagram where he runs a travel blog. So Rohan is one of the top writers on Quora with more than 30 million views on his answers on his content. So among other hobbies, Rohan is also a badminton player. I think he's also won an inter IM competition in badminton. He's also a trained salsa dancer, and as I think a lot of us already know, he's an avid traveler. More recently, Rohan has also authored a romantic novel, The Promises We Made, which is going to be launched, I think, very soon. So, as I would like to call Rohan, I think he's the Mr. 360 degree outside the cricket field. So, let me quickly, add Rohan onto the stream. And yes,
Hi everyone.
hey
Hello.
Rohan, hi. How are you doing, Rohan?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
No, no, it's an honor, Rohan. I think my first memory, I think uh, somewhere around 2017 or 18 when I had started preparing for CAT, when I started reading some of your answers. So I think it's personally it's very amazing for me to interact with you on this session. So, Rohan, let me quickly, share the format of this conversation with you and people who are watching us across three platforms of YouTube, LinkedIn, and also Facebook. So, Rohan,
Sure.
I've prepared a set of about 8-10 questions for you, which we'll try to cover in the first 30 minutes, and then we are going to open floor for questions and if there's I'm sure there's a lot of questions for you. So,
Sure.
we'll then head into that.
Definitely works. That works perfectly fine.
Great. So, Rohan, I mean, I will start with the most obvious question, right? I mean, the introduction that I gave about you. And I mean, just if anyone opens your LinkedIn or your Quora or your Instagram account, one would, like at least me, I can say for sure that, I get uh, completely surprised with the fact that how is it possible that there is one individual who is excelling in multiple hobbies? How can you be good at badminton, dancing, you're a consultant with a top firm, uh, you've recently come out with a novel, you write. I mean, how do you find out time, and how is it that you've been able to excel in so many things?
So, Bhatindu, I think it all comes down to two things, right? That I try to follow very, very religiously. Very effective time management. I'm like, even my weekends are generally usually very packed. I always have something or the else to do. I don't like sitting idle, so I always keep picking up new things to try, and I like to keep challenging myself that way, right? So, for example, if there's something new that I've done, I'd never danced in my life before, but when I decided to give salsa a try, I really, really, it was out of my comfort zone, but I decided to do that. Even when I started with my novel, it was something which was completely out of my comfort zone. I mean, I was writing on Quora, I was writing on LinkedIn, but I'd never really written a book before. Uh, but then it's about not letting the inhibitions get over you and actually do what you want to do. That is one. And then I think the second thing that is there is, when you start something, you actually see it through. So whenever I whenever I try to start something new, I don't leave it in between, even if there are challenges, right? I mean, again, when I can take an example of dancing, right? It's a very physical activity, and when you start dancing, especially if you're not used to dancing before, then the first few months you have to learn a lot. There's a learning curve that is there, right? And then it's very easy to just lose track of it and just give up, right? But then after those few months, once you start continuing with that, you can never let go. The same thing happened with each of my hobbies. Whatever I pick up, I just ensure that the initial few months of grind, I generally just go through that, and then once that is done, it then becomes a part of me.
Great. I mean, what you said, Rohan, right now is like seems to be like the most obvious thing to do. But I mean, I'll probably come to this, right? What is the art of doing what you think? you want to do, right? I mean, I think I'll save that question for later. But Rohan, let's start with you and Quora. What has that journey been like? And did you think that you will become a rage on Quora like you are right now? When was the first answer? What is this motivation of writing constantly? I see that you even today you write at least one or two answers every week. So what is up with you and Quora?
Right. So, see, very interestingly, I did not even know about Quora, right, back in 2014 or something. I was in my final year of IT Kanpur, right, and I had some free time. And then one of my batchmates actually mentioned that, asked me what do I have to do over the weekend. I said nothing. I'm free. What are you doing? He said, I'm going to log into Quora and then write a few answers. I said, what's Quora? Then he said that you should try this website. It's quite cool. This was 2014. So Quora wasn't even that popular back then. But then I joined Quora. I started writing in bits and pieces. I was more of a reader initially. Wasn't exactly writing a lot. But then a few of my answers started clicking. I think one of the answers that some of the answers on JE preparation, some of the answers on right CAT preparation, interview preparation, and all, they started really clicking. And then I found that since the people were really finding value from the answers, I started writing a lot more. And then as my experiences started evolving, I started writing on other experiences as well, specifically on travel. Right, as I started traveling more, I started writing on that, and then it just started evolving that way. So it's been a really fantastic journey. I mean, I'd never even imagined that I would one day cross 100,000 followers. And even I remember the first time I was selected as a top writer. That was in 2017. It was May 2017. I was at the client location having breakfast right in the morning in one of the hotels, and then I just opened Quora, and then I saw this notification from Quora. It was an email from Jonathan, I think,
Hmm.
saying that you have been selected as top writer 2017. I could not believe that. Literally, I was like, wow. And then yeah, I mean, then I got selected next year as a top writer as well. Then they just scrapped the top writer program. But overall, it's been a really, really fantastic journey on Quora for sure. And thanks to thanks to Quora, I also got the motivation to then write on LinkedIn, write on Instagram. Even I mean, even I wrote a book primarily because of the confidence and because of the love and support that I've got on Quora. So it's become a very, very integral part of me now. And yeah, it's been very, very great.
Great. So on the go, I mean, before we get into consulting and your MBA journey and other things, any quick two, three tips that you would have that you would want to give on the go to anyone who wants to, let's say, actively write?
Yeah, yeah. There are a few things. The first one is don't think too much before just writing, right? I mean, when you're really starting your Quora journey, or or journey on any platform, right? Just take that first step. Just go start writing. It's not that the first answer or the first post that you will write would be loved by everyone instantaneously. It might not always happen like that. So just take the first step. That is the most difficult one. But once you start doing that, learn from your past posts, right? Learn and start evolving your posts. So so there are two things that are important, like I mentioned. One is take that first step towards writing, and then the second thing is be consistent and learn from your past posts, right? So don't just stop with one post. If you don't get good reviews there, or if you don't get a lot of upvotes, don't stop. It's okay. My first few answers did not receive more than 10 upvotes, right? So it's okay. But just continue writing, learn from that, look at how others are writing. Maybe you can get some inspiration on how to improve your thought process that way. But the most important thing is just continue writing in a consistent manner. That's the most important.
Sure, Rohan, I think I completely resonate with your point. Like, I mean, I am nowhere close to, uh, as good as a writer that you are. But I mean, if I also recall when I first started, I think 2, 3 years ago, when I started writing some some of my thoughts on LinkedIn, I don't think I even got double-digit reactions. But then, yes, I think it, that first leap, I think, is very important. And once you have that first, I think I remember one of my posts that I wrote, and it was very close to my heart, and it just suddenly blew up on LinkedIn. I mean, it went viral. So yeah, I mean, I can totally resonate with what you're saying, but yeah, I mean, all of this that you're telling me right now is very good for for being consistent. But I don't really know how do people build the kind of quality that you have been able to do. So I don't know. Maybe I think does that come from your reading? What is your reading habit like? What are the kind of genres that you read? Any favorite authors that you have? I would love to know.
Yeah, so I think yeah, I've been a consistent reader for sure. Right. I mean, I've been reading ever since my childhood days. Right. Started with Harry Potter, and then I think I have now more than 700, 800 books in a small library at my home. Right. So I've been reading a lot, and that has definitely helped me evolve my communication skills that way. That's for sure. It has helped me considerably, not just in terms of my writing, but also in terms of my verbal communication, or in general in terms of my exposure of the world, right? Because when you read a lot, then you also get exposed to different cultures. And whenever I travel, I can relate to a lot of things that I actually read in the books. So that has also been really good. Some of my, I mean, my favorite books will always be Harry Potter series. I think a lot of people who follow me on Quora or LinkedIn, know about all my Harry Potter stories as
Yeah,
such, right? So that will definitely be there. Other than that, I also like to read James Patterson. Also I've read Khaled Hosseini. I love that. Love the Kite Runner. So I mean, I read a lot of genres. There's no specific genre that I really focus on. I try to read everything, but I generally read fiction. I don't read a lot of non-fiction that way.
got it, got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's now talk about you and MBA. And I think I read your post today. I think that you'd written. I think you'd written 5 tips that people should follow 2 days before CAT or something like
Yeah.
that, which were all
Yeah.
very obvious but important things for people to keep in mind. So anyway, when did you first take a leap in your mind that you want to get into an MBA program? How was the CAT preparation journey very quickly? Because I'm sure that a lot of CAT aspirants or people who are writing their CAT day after tomorrow are also viewing this right now. So, what was that? And maybe as an extension, if you can also talk about your 2 years at IMA and how they went.
Right. So my CAT journey, as in my preparation journey, yeah.
Yes.
So I basically, had in mind that I would at some stage want to write CAT, even though I wasn't fully convinced that I was going to do an MBA, but I still had in mind that I would at least, write CAT and then see how it goes. The way I prepared was I joined Alchemist in New Delhi, during the second year of, during the summer break between my second and third year, right? Because I had some free time back then. I knew that in my third year I would be interning somewhere and might not have a lot of free time. So I just utilized that. I was at home. Alchemist was near my home, so I just joined Alchemist for a couple of months to get a sense of the format of the exam, the syllabus, right, and all that. And once that was done, then I just started preparing on my own. Once I got a sense of that, it was still 2 years for CAT. So for a year, I did not do anything. But in my final year, around 3 or 4 months before CAT, that is the time when I really started preparing quite well. So I joined. What I did was I started giving a lot of mock tests. I enrolled for this time as well as CL mock tests. And then I started analyzing myself, comparing myself, my performance in each of the tests, and trying to
Yeah.
improve that. Right, so that was the CAT journey, and then of course then CAT happened. Then the interviews started coming in, so I started preparing for that, which was a completely different ball game altogether.
I think a lot of
Right.
people
So
anyway know about your Harry Potter stories and your interviews.
yes, definitely that definitely was a game changer for me in all the interviews for sure. Yeah, but also I think what's important for the interviews is just getting, just reading a lot of newspapers, and being generally aware of whatever is happening around you. That is very important for interviews, right? You never know what they might ask in the interview, so that's also definitely important. Yeah. And what was the second question you mentioned about the journey at IMA?
Yeah, yeah. How are your 2 years at IMA? And yeah, I mean, because right now, I mean, I've spent my last 7 months at home, so
Hmm.
I'm probably not going to be spending my two entire years in campus. But yeah, I mean, how was your journey like? Maybe if you can talk about the grind and what all you did during that time. Some maybe top memories that you have from campus.
Good. So my journey was excellent. I mean, I was thankfully on campus, at that time. So I mean, I remember the first day I reached campus. Right, I started. I was always in awe of Ahmedabad. I mean, I'd always only seen that red bricks building on in photos and everything. Never really seen it actually. Right. So once I reached the campus, I was like really, really in awe. But also, some of my best memories were, the first day on the campus, I reached out to the exchange council, the head of the exchange council, and asked him what is the process to apply for a dual degree exchange. Right? He was like, "This is our first day on campus, and you already want to know about the exchange program." Right? Because just because of the love of travel, I just wanted to go travel not just for one term, but actually for 2 terms, right, to Europe. So that was there. But yeah, I mean, the first term was tough. The first term was very, very hectic, just because you're getting used to, I mean, as an engineer, it's completely different. You're not speaking in classes. You're not The course curriculum is, you study one day before the exam. In an MBA, you're actually studying almost every day before the classes. You have to pre-read the material. You have to be almost as interactive as the professors in the classes. It's a very different kind of an environment,
Yeah,
and that is there. Plus, you have the summer placement coming in. You have all the club applications going on, right? So, and you're making a lot of new friends. You're adapting to a new culture. So all that was there. It was very, very hectic, but also a lot of fun. I think the first term was the most memorable term that I had, because that rigor, that
definitely,
grind, kind of you start missing that.
definitely. Yeah,
I'm sure you would
I
relate to
mean,
that.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, we'll come to you and how your journey is or what your day like is as a consultant. But I'm still sure that it won't be as hectic as 3 months at IMA.
It's not. Yeah, definitely. The first 3 months were crazy. I mean, I don't even remember. They just went by. But when you
Yeah,
start recollecting, you realize there were just so many things that were happening at the same time.
right.
Crazy, crazy.
So, great. I mean, I think the time that we have is like too little for to cover all your hobbies and to cover all your interest areas. But let's quickly jump into you and consulting. So, I mean, did you always want to become a consultant? Was management consulting something that you really were clear about from the beginning, or did it happen during MBA? And also, how is your typical day like now? And what is the kind of that you do?
Got it. So, frankly, I had not even heard of management consulting during my BTech time. Towards the end of my BTech, I mean, I'd heard some of my seniors were applying for, BCG, McKinsey, and the other consulting firms. So I heard that these firms exist, but I did not really know what people do as consultants, right? I had absolutely no clue. I started doing some research. I was interested in investment banking as well as consulting back then. But once I reached Ahmedabad, I started doing a lot of extensive research, right? As you can imagine, because that is the time
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
really start choosing your
yeah,
interests, right? So then I talked to a lot of people who had actually interned at various firms, interned in various fields, right? To finally shortlist consulting as my uh, core area. It's not that I had a lot of passion for consulting, or I had always known that I would be a consultant. It's just that I went with the flow. I really liked consulting during the preparation time. Just the knack of solving a lot of problems, new problems, right, in a new industry. I think that was really, really what excited me. And the people, just working with the smartest people and always being on your toes. So I think that is what excited me. But yeah, I never really knew that I would always be a consultant.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll also be joining McKinsey, I think sometime next
I
year.
know, yeah.
So,
Hmm.
would love to. I mean, I think, and plus, I think a lot of viewers also would want to understand what is your day like, what is the kind of work that you do as a consultant.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the data I used to have earlier in pre-COVID times is very different from what I have now. So I would give a glimpse of both of these, right?
Sure.
During pre-COVID times, I mean, my day used to start with a flight. I mean, even earlier, even like before the flight, I would wake up quite early in the morning, 3 or 4 a.m., then rush to the airport, take a flight on Monday mornings, and then go to the client location. And if the client location is directly in the city, then it's fine. But my cases were usually in far off locations. Then I used to take a 4 hour, 5 hour cab ride directly to the client location. Right. So then I basically did that on Monday, till the afternoon, and then did that on Friday again with the travel. And then on Tuesdays to Thursdays, it was normal at the client location, waking up at 8:39 a.m., having breakfast, and then starting the work. The way it works is that you in the morning you align with your team on what are the expectations, then also align with your client on what all is the to-do list for that day. And then if there are any problems or any meetings, then you kind of do those meetings,
Yeah.
follow up on the next steps, and so on. Right. Right now, if I look at my current schedule, it's very, very different because my day starts at 9 a.m. So
Yeah.
unless there's something, I would kind of, even if I wake up at 8:45 a.m., I would still be in time for my day to start.
Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah.
just need to get up from my bed and then sit on my chair, which is right next to my bed, and
You
the day
seem
would
to be
start.
you seem to be quite a fan of work from home.
I mean, right now, yes, but then I would again want to start traveling. I've started missing those flights. Uh, so I would rather prefer a mix of this, like a right balance instead of doing that every week. That would have been a better model. I think that is how it will be in the future.
Right, right, right. So I think this was the question that I asked you, was also a question from Siddhant Kumar Agarwal, who said that, hi Rohan, hope you're fine. I have a small question. I want to ask you about consulting as a role post MBA and how are the work and all the things. So I think you already answered that. So,
Yeah.
Rohan, I think let's, very quickly, we'll try to take more and more questions from people who are
Hmm.
watching this. But this very interesting piece about, you coming up with your novel out of nowhere. Me following you on social media, I wouldn't think that you would have the time to, pen down a novel with a typical consultant life, with all the other things that you're doing, and with all the social media activity that you continuously do. So, how has this journey been? How do you find the time? Are there 26 hours on your clock or something like that? So, how do these things happen? So, maybe, and why don't you also, because I think not a lot of people know about your novel, and maybe if you could tell us about the theme and maybe the inspiration, behind it. So, that would
Definitely.
be great.
Definitely. So, I mean, I have 24 hours on my clock, only not only six. You can be assured of that. But I mean, I had this idea of writing a novel in my mind ever since I started writing a lot on Quora, right? And I had a few inspirations as well. It was just that I'd never really found the right time or I never, because once my job started, I was also dancing and everything. So I did not really find the right stretch of time to actually pen it down. But I think towards my second year in BCG, right, I started writing more actively, very few people knew that I was actually writing a novel. I mean, I had not mentioned that on social media because I wasn't sure when I was going to complete it, when it would come out, right? So I never really mentioned that to anyone. But I was, whenever I found time, I started writing it. I think I finished it more when I actually went to Europe for a 45-day sabbatical last year. Right, I actually took a 45-day off because I was very tired and wanted to take some time off just to travel. 70% of the times I was traveling and dancing, and then 30% of the times I was just working on the novel whenever I found time.
So
I think that is when I.
you've officially confirmed that you don't take breaks in life, you don't take rest, and I mean,
You won't believe I have not taken a single day of leave this year, apart from weekends.
okay, that is, I mean, okay, I am digesting everything. Great, go on.
Yeah. So, so I mean, that is when I really, finished the first draft of the novel. But then, of course, I started refining it, started reading it more, and then refining it, and so on. And then this year was when I finally finished it, and then sent it for publication. It was supposed to come out slightly earlier, but with the COVID times, it got pushed a bit. But it is already live now for pre-order, and it will be and the release is 8th of December. So if anyone wants to actually buy it, you can just buy it. The name is The Promises We Made. You can search it on Amazon. You can search it on Flipkart. It's there in paperback as well as Kindle versions. You can already pre-order it. And on the theme, I will just explain the
Yeah,
theme a
yeah,
bit and
that'll be.
how I got
Yes,
inspired.
I think I read. I think I read the name of the main character is Raj. I don't know. Somehow resembles with Rohan Jain. Somehow, like, I mean, the R and J are common. But okay, let's assume it's fiction.
I mean, the way see the story is actually about a computer science student from IT Kanpur who goes
Okay.
to Switzerland for his internship uh, in his third year. I had
Okay.
also gone there at EPFL, so a lot of a lot of stories about the places, and some of the characters are inspired from the real life in terms of the stories, right? Because I could actually relate to that. But what is real, what is fiction, is something I would leave for the readers to let me know. Actually, what you think about what's real or what's not. But the story is that this guy Raj, he goes to. He's a very nerdy guy, right? He's a com science IT Kanpur student who gets
Yeah.
very happy when he gets selected for an internship in Switzerland, and then he goes there and then just starts working. But then he meets this really wonderful girl named Sophia, who is a German student who is doing her internship there. And then they start as friends, but then they slowly start developing a bond. As they travel together, and as they spend more time together. And then the story really is about the two of them coming together and whether they will be able to spend their life together or not, right? And what all
Right.
destiny has in fate for them. So I think you would really enjoy this book. You should be able to relate with it a lot. I definitely related with it quite a bit. But yeah, and if you guys really read it, then do let me know how you like it. What part is fiction, what part is real? I would love to hear that as well. Yeah.
That's some suspense that you've created out of a romantic novel.
Definitely.
So great. So this book. So the book is coming out on the 8th of December 2020, right?
Hmm. This is 8th of December 2020. Yes, it's releasing there, but it's already live out for pre-order.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So I think, Rohan, this kind of sums up my set of pre-planned, pre-decided questions. So now let me, start picking up written in the comments. There are quite a few questions that I can already see. Somehow there's some technical error, so I am unable to broadcast those screen. So
Okay.
in that case, I'm going to quickly read the question. If you can
Okay.
answer them, that will be great. So this is
Sure.
coming from Manvi Kamboj. Hi Rohan Bhartendu, thank you for this live interaction. I had a small question. How do you manage the work-life balance? Definitely, this is Rohan. This is definitely for you. How do you manage the work-life balance in this travel-intensive industry where even the location also keeps on changing?
Got it. So, see, yes, definitely, it's a very unconventional kind of a job, right? Where you're traveling all the time, and your location is also changing. But you can always manage the work-life balance, because even while you're traveling, right, there's a lot of free time that you will have. You can't do a lot of physical stuff, but if you have to, I mean, the stuff that I did, which was writing on Quora, writing on LinkedIn, or writing a book, a lot of it was also done during my travel time, when I would be sitting in the airplane, or when I would be sitting in the cabs. I had 4 or 5 hour cab ride journeys, twice every week. So I utilized that time as well for writing. And even once you're at the client location, you're staying in a hotel or a guest house, right? So in the evenings, you can always find time to do things that do not require a dependency on someone else. Because if you have any dependency on someone else, then you might not be able to do those kind of things when your location keeps on changing. So that's the thing. Otherwise, apart from that, on weekends, you're always at home. So whatever physical stuff you want to do, you can always do during the weekends. I used to attend salsa classes during the weekends in New Delhi. So that option is always there. It's tough, but it's manageable.
Okay, okay. Uh, so next question that we have is coming from Saksham Jain. He says, how do you find time for social media among such a hectic schedule?
Um, Again, the time I usually wrote in social media was generally, during the weekends. If you look at my core activity for the past couple of years, you would see a spike on the weekends, and then you would probably find no answer during the weekdays. Right. So weekends are usually very relaxed, because there's an active push now across the board, right, on having free weekends. Even your bosses don't want to work. Their bosses don't want to work on the weekends. So 90% of the times you will have a clean weekend. Maybe on Sundays you would do some prep if you have an early Monday morning meeting, but 90% of the cases you would have a clean weekend. So that is the time that I really used for writing a lot on social media as well.
Right, right. So, next question is coming from Arya Garg, and she wants to know how difficult is it for a student with not extraordinary but decent academic record. She's also mentioned 95, 90, 85 to get into consulting. Firstly, Arya, I don't think this is decent. This is extraordinary.
Exactly. This
Truly.
is extraordinary.
But,
That is what I was about
but
to
anyway,
say.
let's take your answer, Rohan. I mean, let's assume for anyone with decent academic background, how difficult is it? And especially, I mean, if you would want to talk about the other route to get into consulting, like without an MBA, or people
Hmm.
with some other masters, how would they? How can they like get into consulting?
Got it. So, definitely. So, decent is a very subjective term again, but there are 3, 4 factors that are considered when by consulting firms whenever someone applies. Academics is definitely one of the key criteria, right? Having a consistent academic record throughout is one of the criteria. But I mean, what is the definition of consistent, and what is the definition of good? Again, is very subjective and depends on company to company, and also depends on applicant to applicant. So that I would leave it at that for academics. But there are also other criteria that are involved. Your extracurricular performance, your internships, your work experience if you are applying laterally. So if you've for example done a lot of work, lot of good work during your internships, a lot of good work in your past company, right? And you have some glowing recommendations, some glowing awards. That would definitely turn the tables, because you might not have a good academic record earlier, but you have shown that in the right environment you are able to succeed. So all that is taken into consideration. It might not be possible without. I mean, even if somebody does not get into a good consulting firm of their choice directly from college, because of past academics, right? It's always possible after a couple of years to switch laterally into the consulting firms. That is one. Second, those who do not have an MBA or those who are from a college where the consulting firms don't visit, like some other masters or anything. There are 2 3 routes that you can take. One is a direct application on the website, which very rarely works because your application might be lost among a lot of other applications. But a better route that happens is you work maybe gain some of consulting, maybe a year or two in a niche consulting firm, and then try to apply laterally through a referral program. uh, right, if you know somebody in any of these firms, and then you reach out to them, send them your CV, and if they like your CV, they can refer you in the firm. Then that means that you have a higher chance of being considered for an interview. It's not a sure shot selection, but at least you would get noticed for an interview faster. That is the other route.
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it. So, next question, Rohan, is coming from Harsimran Kaur,
Okay.
who says, as students, how can we do multitasking and time management? I am literally struggling between classes, internships, societies, etc. How do you do time management?
So
It's one of the
Harsimran,
common queries
yeah,
coming
yeah.
in. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand that because as a student, you would have a lot of classes, assignments going on at the same time, maybe surprise quizzes coming up, right? But as a student during my BTech days as well as during my MBA days, I realized that if you plan ahead, right, you would be able to find a lot of pockets of time, right, that you can actually plan in advance and utilize. I'll give you an example. You might have classes starting from say 9 a.m. in the morning, right? You have classes till maybe 12:31, and then you have lunch, and then you have classes again. Maybe you have classes till 5 6, and then you do some assignment and work. You can still find out an hour or two in the day, maybe later in the evening, or if you have a break in the day, you can find that. And if you plan that in advance, you can utilize that for whatever activity you want to do, whether it is your own, whether it is a hobby, whether it is writing on social media, or whatever it is. I don't know what you want to do, but you can plan to do that. But if you want to do something which takes a longer period of time, for example, if you want to do something that would need a few hours at a stretch, right? You want to join some classes, or pick up a hobby where you need to spend 3 4 hours at a stretch. Then it might not be possible to do during the week if you don't have that slot, unless you can do it later in the night. Then I would suggest utilizing the weekends for it. But as a student, you need to ensure that academics need to be a top priority. Multitasking comes secondary. As a student, you would always find time for that later. What you need to ensure is that academics will always be the top priority. They do not get affected because of the multitasking. That is my suggestion.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
So, I am now picking a question on a lighter note, Rohan,
Okay.
because I think this is getting a bit too serious. So, Krishna Pratap Singh is asking, "Hi Rohan, are you thinking to go as a full-time writer since consulting is so demanding?"
that's that's actually a good one. Very frankly, I haven't given it a lot of thought yet. Right, I'm just going with the flow. Right, I mean, my first novel just came out, so I'm kind of waiting to see how it goes. With your support, if you guys really support it well, and Krishna, if I mean that really depends on you, right? So if you guys really support it well, and then I might actually write a second novel, and if that also goes well, then I would consider switching full time. Right, I won't switch right now, but just taking it with the flow. I haven't really given it that much of a thought yet. Uh, yeah, again, depends on how it goes.
Right. So, Krishna, you have your answer. Basically, you have the control of Rohan's life for now.
Yes,
So, wait for
definitely.
8th December, read the book, come back with reviews, and maybe you can, shift him into becoming a full-time writer.
Yes, it's all in your hands, guys. It's all in your hands.
Okay, so I'm going to now quickly pick Madhav's question. And what Madhav is saying uh, is that what are your views on doing MBA in tier two Indian colleges or abroad? I mean, I think he's trying to ask you what would you pick between doing an MBA from a tier two institute or a master's abroad?
Got it. So again, tier two or abroad, abroad is very generic, where abroad,
Yeah, yeah.
which college you are getting. It's very difficult to have a very, very direct answer here. But if you are planning to work in India, right, then I would always suggest to go for an MBA in India. If a tier two, I mean, again, depends on the definition of a tier two and your definition of of a college abroad. But if you want to work in India, it will generally not make financial sense to go for an MBA abroad, especially not from a very good college. I mean, if you're getting Harvard, Stanford, by no means just go for it. But but if you're not getting a very very reputed college, then spending a lot of money abroad and then working in India would not make sense. But if you are very sure that you want to work abroad, then then doing an MBA from a tier two and going abroad would be very difficult. So then you would have to make a choice between actually studying abroad and then trying that. So I think that is the lens that I would take instead of directly comparing between tier two and an MBA abroad. I would say whether you want to work in India in the shorter term or whether you want to work in another country. That is the lens I would take to decide.
Right. There's a very similar question, Rohan, from Nupur, who's asking what is your opinion on master's degree in management MIM from Europe and its relevance in India? So if you could
Got
answer that as well, maybe.
Got it. So I mean, I'm sure some of you know I also have a master's in management from Europe, right? Because I went there as a part of a dual degree program from Ahmedabad. So when I was there, I was studying with the masters in management students. I also actually helped them while they were preparing for consulting interviews and stuff, right? And I was a part of their entire placement period. So I have a feeling. So the students there are very smart. The programs are very good. If you want to, for example, work in Europe, then you should definitely do a master's in management from Europe. In fact, in a lot of cases, companies in Europe prefer masters in management students than MBA students from the same college, because the MIM students are really fresh, grads right out of college who have some some knack of management, and they are really eager to, eager and ambitious to make a name for themselves. So, these are very good programs, but primarily restricted to Europe. MIM programs are not very well known in US, is my sense, and not very well known in India as well. I mean,
Mm.
the good companies would know of these programs, and if you apply, they would consider you. But the chances of you getting a very good position in Europe would be higher than in India. If you want to work in India, you should probably consider an MBA from India rather than doing a master's in management from Europe. But these are very good programs in Europe for sure.
Got.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I think this question is coming from Neil Singhvi, and he's saying,
Hmm.
why did you choose consulting over IB and what parameters did you look at?
Got it. So when I joined Ahmedabad, zero preference among these two, right? I mean, it could have been either of these, to investment banking or consulting. And at least for the first 1 month, I was actually exploring both these options. It's very difficult to prepare simultaneously for IB and consulting because both of these are heavy streams. But I was kind of exploring both of these options. I was talking to a lot of seniors. I was talking to a lot of people in my network in these companies, just to figure out the kind of work, just to figure out the culture in each of the firms. I think the parameters that I really looked at to take my decision was just from a preparation perspective, right, and an outside in perspective, which of the two industries I found more interesting. Right. Again, investment banking is also very challenging, is also very interesting. Uh, but consulting is something I could relate to a lot. Sometimes if you flip a coin and then you close your eyes, right, and then you wish for either heads or tails to come. It's like that. I mean, it was a 50-50, but then I could really, if I would close my eyes, I was like, I could imagine myself as a consultant much more than I would imagine myself as an investment banker. But then I also justified this by talking to many people. I actually talked to a lot of seniors, and even my buddy who was allotted to me during the placement process, who's so buddies are actually 1 or 2 years senior to you, who are actually in these forms, and they get allotted to you when you are shortlisted for the interviews. I talked to them, and also analyze why they took the decision. That also helped me quite a bit. But yeah, it could have been either ways. It was more of a 40-60 is what I would say, but just more inclined towards consulting that way, and no regrets.
Right, right. At least, Neil, I think I at one point in time also wanted to get into finance IB. I did an internship when I was in my undergrad, and that kind of told me that it's something that's not made for me. And then, unlike Rohan, I think I was very clear that I want to get into consulting uh, in MBA. So either ways, whichever stage you are at, you could also, if you have the luxury to try out, you should definitely try out internships in both the segments, if possible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, definitely put your weight to what you think is right. So next question, Rohan, is coming from Niharika. It's a good question. Like, I really like the question. What do you prefer, planning out life or going with the flow?
I prefer, so it might seem interesting and counterintuitive, but I prefer going with the flow, right? So I mean, I never planned. So it's actually, when I say going with the flow, it does not mean that I have nothing in mind on what to
Right.
do. But by going with the flow, I mean I generally like to be very flexible in terms of what I want to do in life, right? So it's not that I have a fixed plan that tomorrow I have to do this, next year I have to do that. If somebody asks me where I see myself 5 years down the line, I have absolutely zero clue, literally. I mean, one option is, of course, I'm in consulting and I stay there. That route is one that I see, but other than that, I haven't really planned out life, just taking it one
Krishna,
step at a time.
sorry, Krishna gave you a option number two, right? Becoming a full-time
Yes,
writer.
now
So
now
at least
that
you
is
have two
also an
options.
option.
You have two options at least.
Exactly. Thank you, Krishna, for that. Now I have two options. So these two options are the options that I have in mind right now. But yeah, I mean, what I would do is, now that I mean the book is out, I would try to maybe do something else, or just explore some other field as well. Uh, but yeah, going with the flow with something in mind. It's not completely random, but being flexible in terms of what I want to do in life.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So next question that is coming from Sanyam Agarwal. Uh, is again, I think it's a very typical question.
Hmm.
So Sanyam is saying, how difficult is it for a gem from a tier three or a tier two college to get into MBA?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, I think, overhyped that GEM is difficult to get into an MBA. Frankly, 70, I mean, yeah, I mean, not
Yeah,
70, but
more than 50%, we can say.
more than 50% of the people, from the general category, right, would be males that make it, and engineers. Right. Actually, if you look at just engineers, at Ahmedabad during my batch, I think around 80% of the people were engineers. I don't know, but in your batch, how many,
Yeah, it's
right?
somewhere around 70-75 right now.
Can't hear you.
It's somewhere around 70% right now.
Yeah.
Number of
So,
engineers.
I mean, a lot of people are engineers from in all these top colleges, but what really, and even males, right? So I mean, it's not good for the people there, but at least 2/3 of the people are in each of these MBA colleges are males, right? And general, of course, are there. So if you are a general engineer and male, you're not at, what would work is, you should not start comparing yourself with others who probably might have some advantage. It's okay. If you do that, you would not be able to make it, right? So what you need to do is just focus on your studies, right? You might be a gem. Just forget that you are a gem for now, right? Take it in the positive manner. You're a gem. You're a diamond. Just focus on your studies, right? Just focus on your on getting your scores, improving your scores, and going forward. That's all. uh, Being a gem and saying that that makes it difficult to enter MBA, that's a wrong conception, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people who enter MBA colleges are gems.
Right, right. So I think we're almost in time to wrap up the session. Maybe we'll take
Yeah.
last set of last two three questions, because I already have a lot of unanswered questions in the comments. So this is coming from Nitinder Sharma. How is your journey at BCG been? What is the most challenging thing that you do at work?
The journey at BCG has been really, really, exciting. It's been 3.5 years now at BCG, and I've done so many industries. I mean, I can't even count them, right? I've done a lot of steel. Steel. I'm a computer science engineer, right? Who had not even entered a steel plant before. Now I spent a lot of time in steel. Actually going into the depth of how steel is made. I worked with a tractor manufacturing firm. I worked with an e-commerce firm, right? Oil and gas industries. I've worked with engineering services players in medical devices industries. So there's just a lot of things that I've done in these 3.5 years. It's been very exciting, and what's helped is, and what keeps me in this industry is that you really, really need to be on your toes all the time. You need to be well prepared. You need to always keep challenging yourself. What next could you do? Are you learning enough? Are you applying yourself enough? Is there something else you can do? Right? You might come up with a solution which might not work. Do you just give up, or do you find another solution? Right. So I think all that really keeps me going. It's been a really exciting journey at BCG so far, for sure. And I've made a lot of friends here, and I found a lot of mentors who are not just, I mean, there are very few places where you would find mentors who would be as interested in your development, right, as you are. So I think that really has been very exciting for me.
Great.
Yeah.
Next question is coming from Rishabh Patel, and he's asking about your experience as a research assistant at LBS. I don't know about that, but if that's true, would also love to know your experience.
Yeah. So I actually, spent a month at London Business School during the final year of my BTech. So, by the time I decided to, write CAT and decided,
Yeah.
I would do an MBA, I opted out of the final placement process. I did not sit for the final placements. And instead of that, I went to London as a research assistant. My project was more computer science oriented, but in a management setting. So I could talk to a lot of management people there. I actually even attended a few MBA classes there and really loved them. And that also strengthened my resolve to do an MBA. My experience was really great. There was a lot to learn, especially in a management setting. There was a lot to learn. The people were excellent, very, very smart, right? And it was a new academic setting for me. So it was an excellent experience. It was a 1 month experience, but really good.
Got it, Rohan. So I think, Rohan, with that, we are going to, we'll try to wrap up with this session. Before that, I just have one last question from you, right? And with that, I think we will try to wrap this up. So maybe, I mean, this is again, this is like a very personal question, which coming from me. Is that what are, let's say, top three habits that you think that you have, that have really helped you over these years in doing all the things that you have been? So, what would be top three habits that you think, uh, a lot of people could use or could apply? And Yeah, I
Got
mean,
it.
how do you end up increasing your productivity so much, and how do you stay focused on goals?
Got it. So if I have to list down my top three habits, right? I think one thing that has really helped me quite a bit is that I really try to prioritize very actively, among the things that I'm doing. At every point of time, it's not that, if there are a lot of things to do, I would always have a priority lens in mind on what to focus on. Multitasking is not about doing multiple things at the same time. Multitasking is about doing a lot of things in a prioritized manner. Is my sense, right? So that is definitely the first one. Second is, I don't shy away from trying new things, right? So I mean, I believe that everything is possible. The only thing that is stopping you from achieving something is your own, is a walls that you are kind of building around yourself, that these are things I can't do. This is something I've never tried. It's okay. You haven't tried it. What will happen in the worst case? You will fail. That is okay, right? If you haven't tried it, you've already failed. So that is the philosophy that I generally try to apply. And then the third thing that has helped me is I don't like sitting idle. So I have to do something at all points of time. So if I'm sitting idle, I feel that, and I feel kind of restless. So I'll always pick up something new. I'll pick up some new hobby or something new to learn, something new to explore. It could be traveling. If I have a 10-day break, I would just go travel to keep myself busy, right? And then maybe do something else in that time. So that is how I always like to keep myself occupied. And that has also led to a lot of these hobbies that have developed over time.
Right, got it. So, great. I think, Rohan, I think it was like a great 1 hour that we spent together, and I'm sure that there were a lot of takeaways for people viewing this. There were definitely a lot of takeaways for me. So, thank you so much again for taking out the time. Also, all the best with your upcoming novel, and really hope that it becomes a bestseller, and then probably, Krishna's idea of you becoming a full-time author also turns true.
Cheers to that. And thanks for inviting me, Bhartinder. It was really great doing the session. Yeah, had a lot of fun.
Same here,
Thank you.
same
And
here.
Krishna, if I ever choose that option, then I would call you out.
Great. ठीक है Ron. Okay, thank you. With that, I'm going to finish this. Also, guys, in case there are any suggestions that you have for this session, in case there are any other people that you would suggest for me to invite on LinkedIn Live or the Younger Me project, please feel free to comment. Please feel free to DM me. You can also connect with me on Instagram. My username is just my name, which is again a big perk of having a unique name. So on that note, I'm going to end this live. Thank you so much for joining in. Uh,